Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and this is the Road to the Record, where I work to achieve mastery of 10 games in a hunt for the best score of the Decathlon. If you like what you see, remember to hit that like button. And if you want to see more, hit subscribe. Let the games begin. This is College Basketball 2017 Draft Day Sports. This is week number 10 of the competition, and we are ready to begin season number 4. This is a reimagining of college basketball with a promotion relegation system, and we have climbed out of the gutter. We are now in Division 22 of Division 23, also known as Conference U. We have been wrapping up our preseason recruiting. We have 2 incoming recruits. We have 2 more scholarships available, and some bad news. We did get Charles George, that's the good news, and his rank has held firm, but our 222nd ranked shooting guard, Preston Favors, just took a huge nosedive in the incoming recruiting class. He has been reevaluated now outside of the top 1,000, and at least 3 of his categories dropped from C's to D's. So his defense, his rebounding, his blocking, all have dropped. He can still score. So hopefully he'll turn it on before the end of the year and get back into the higher class, because of every reevaluation so far, he was still in that top 250, and suddenly he has just dropped off to nothing. So hopefully that'll come back up before the end of the year. There's at least 1 or 2 more reevaluations before the end of the year. And our short list is quite small and quite different from where I left you last. I went out and grabbed a whole bunch of junior college, potential junior college transfers from all across the country, going after some of them for some immediate help. Charles George will be a nice recruit coming in. But I don't think he'll have a huge impact immediately. He's not that great of a scorer. He's not that great of a defender. But he's got some good qualities that'll likely take some time to develop. So looking for more of an immediate impact, as we are going to be hurting in the post this coming season. I've got a few players at B ratings that can potentially come in and provide some excellent impact immediately, but they're from all over the country, which is making it that much more difficult to recruit these individuals. Most of them weren't even giving us the time of the day, but slowly but surely we're getting there to all but one, or at least giving us a look. All right, so we've already put in our time for this week. We're set to continue watching film on these guys. We've done a fair amount of gathering when it came to information on pitch categories, and we're now ready to get the season underway. Reviewing our rosters once again, these ratings do change, especially through practice. So let's see where we are at this point in time. I'm going to go bottom to top. So Lytle, Overton, and Marshall, not expected to make much of an impact this season. Aki Collins was a little bit disappointing to see this drop off, as he was a pretty big recruit, but I've seen this happen multiple times before with other freshmen who ended up just fine as they got reevaluated over time. He is starting to gel well with the team. He is very durable, has a good work ethic, so I think he'll come up over time. I mean, he was ranked 218th nationally. He's starting to learn the system. You can see that even though they say he's not going to improve much, you can see there's already quite a bit of room for improvement. So he's not going to get a whole lot of minutes this year, but we'll see what happens later on. Now, Neely is somebody that I actually set to redshirt this season, and actually he ended up coming out pretty okay. He had the 0.5, 0.5 that Aki Collins had earlier. They kind of reversed each other. So Neely's going to redshirt this year and should be a pretty solid player going into next season. And Aki Collins is somebody that I kind of wish that I could redshirt now, but it's too late for that. All right, so Mike Walter slowly coming along. His ratings have dropped. He had a 3.5 potential before. It's down to a 3, but still get decent out of him. Booker Grimes is now up to a 1.5. Still ineligible, but he only has a month left, so we'll see what happens in a month. That should happen during this episode. And we've got some quality. We've got 4 players with 3-star ratings and a couple guys just behind them. So we should have a pretty competitive team this year. We're going to go ahead and go into our depth chart and make some adjustments. There are some players that do need to play out of position a little bit to keep this team competitive. All right. I'm at 15. I wasn't at 15 before. Did I pick up another walk-on? I did pick up another walk-on. Oh, that's Billy Marshall. Okay, Billy Marshall's our additional walk-on from what we had before. So we're at 5 of these guys now. And Billy Marshall is a sophomore with a nice GPA. So we did pick up another walk-on on the roster as we only had 1 center. Okay, going back into the depth. All right, so Ian Dawson was first team all-conference last year in Conference V. He is our starting point guard. We have some definite quality of depth with Darren Brunson, Kevin Cole, and Michael Morrissey all starting. Our one weaker area is at center, but our walk-on, Billy Marshall, not too shabby, 1.5 star rating. Booker Grimes is ineligible. Reginald Neely is redshirting. So we have 13 players, all at 1 star or better, according to depth chart ratings. Clifton Jennings, incoming freshman, is looking pretty good and above Aki Collins. Aki Collins, who they say is not good, already has a 1 star rating, but I'm going to put Clifton Jennings above him with his 1.5 star. And Billy Marshall, we need a center up here, so he's going to come in. Aki Collins does look to be the backup point guard behind Ian Dawson, so Ian Dawson's going to get some solid time, but Aki Collins will get time off the bench, but not a ton. We're going to drop that to an 80. And Walter is one player I would like to see get some minutes, so I'm going to bump him up over Lytle and Overton just for his ability to improve over time, but we're going to keep these guys pretty low on the ratings meter. Overton and Lytle, as they are walk-ons and they're not going to really improve much. So thinking about next year for these backups. Mike Walter, I'd like to see him continue to improve. Aki Collins, I want to see him continue to get minutes. I'm actually even going to, no, we'll leave him at a 90. He's just not that good. All right. I think that should do it. Ian Dawson, we definitely want to see get some solid minutes. Kevin Cole, I'd like to see get solid minutes. Let's bump him to a 70 as he's got the highest potential, along with Marcus Lowe. If anyone on the team, Marcus Lowe is now our 7th man, and Julian Marsh. So these two are definitely going to get some time. And let's see, what can we do about Julian Marsh at 6'8" could probably play some power forward, but they've got him slated just in here. We've got plenty of depth. Small forward, shooting guard. We got 3 guys for point guard, 4 guys for center. Yeah, we're okay there. All right. Taking a look at our stats once again. We're looking pretty good there. Here's our schedule. We're going to be at Albany first off, and then Emmitsburg at home second. No changes here to the prestige. Again, our team goal is to win the conference tournament this year, so we're going to have some pressure put on, unlike in previous seasons. And we've already taken a look at our recruiting, so we're going to head into the season. We will watch that first game as it comes up. We're not up on this first day. Go ahead and sim to our first game. let's see, it's coming up on the 16th, so we've got one more day to sim. It is a road game here on this first game, so it might not be looking like a win for us, but we'll get our first look at the team regardless. So again, we have one scholarship left. We have 3 walk-ons on the squad right now. So we've taken a little step back there. But in terms of quality, I think we are looking pretty good. We've got a lot more balance to the team, a lot more overall depth than we've had in the past. And here we go, Albany. So Albany, New York, big dogs. Let's see, I'm trying to think who Albany, New York would be. Is that Niagara Falls University of Niagara Falls? I actually served when I was serving in the Army. Had a lieutenant come through who was a graduate of Niagara Falls University. All right, and he was actually pretty bummed that nobody in our unit had ever heard of it before. Anyway. All right, so game class, here we go. Ian Dawson, our leading man and our best recruit in terms of performance so far. Our other big recruit, was it Blaney from last year? Led the league in blocks, but otherwise was not statistically significant. But Dawson was 3rd in Conference V in scoring last year as a sophomore. He's a junior this year. All right, so let's get our first game of the season underway. As is the norm, I do sim through these very fast because there's very little impact that I have. I don't deal with doing substitutions myself. I leave that to our setup of simulation. So the only thing that I really handle is timeouts, and I don't really work or yell at the refs either. So here we go. First game of the year. First bucket goes to our opponents. We get down early, but we are back within 2 points early on. Though we're now down 8-15. So a few struggles here early on. We are being out-rebounded, so we seem to be leveling that off a bit now. We've already had 5 turnovers here. First 10 minutes of the first half. Shooting-wise, we're shooting 60% from the field. That's pretty nice. 3 for 4 from the stripe, and 3 for 4 beyond the arc. So we're actually looking good in quite a few categories. Yet we are down 10 points. We are being out-rebounded by a good margin. So there's our weakness. And you can see just why one of my focuses on recruiting has been looking for a better rebound, because my team is definitely struggling. Oh, we've already burned all of our focus. We're only down 8 points now with 14 minutes to go, so we've closed the gap a bit. We're down by more than 10 early on. Rebounding is definitely our weakness here. Field goals has slipped a bit, and we are giving up a really good percentage for Albany. 9 minutes to go in the game. We have just 1 timeout left, but we're only down 5 points. We are in this game, so things are looking pretty decent on that front. We are playing despite our struggles in rebounding, despite our defensive struggles on giving up some easy points. And looks like that's starting to shine through. We're down 9. Final minute. We're trying to make a game here. We do finish losing by just 6 on the road. Our 3 for 4 start from beyond the arc ended up at 4 for 13. So our shooting woes brought us down, along with our inability to grab rebounds, though it was only 35-28, so not a major loss in that category, but a loss nonetheless. So we opened the season with our first loss, but there are some positive signs for this team as we go forward, as we're going to be pretty competitive in a lot of ways, and Albany is definitely a higher division. I don't know what division they're in, but they were not in Conference V, and they're not in our conference, so they're definitely at a higher level. All right, we're going to finish out the week. Recruiting's definitely not easy for us this year. We grabbed one really good recruit who has plummeted in his ranking. Charles George, I think, will be a pretty decent player, but he might be a player that I would probably prefer to redshirt this next year. But that's not going to be an option.
You have new mail. You have new mail.
Because we are going to be loaded with
You have new mail.
A very thin post presence, and so I think he's going to be forced into playing a lot of minutes next year, though he's probably only going to be around a 1-star to a 1.5-star player coming in as a freshman. All right, so it was only our first game, or first 2 games actually, and we are 1-1, so we did pull off that win at home, so we did get our first win of the year in our second matchup. Kevin Cole so far is leading the way in points per game. Ian Dawson, his assist numbers are up a bit. I think he was only getting about 4 last year. And already rebounding, Michael Morrissey coming in at 6.5. Again, only 2 games. Very small stat pack so far. But last year we struggled to get 5. So there are some positive signs there. But we're going to need a larger sample size before we can really determine where we're at on those statistics. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the schedule, see how that game was. 9-point win against Emmitsburg. They won their first game. They're 1-1. Albany lost their second game. Next up, 2 games on the road. So we'll be lucky if we come out 2-2. Looks like East Tennessee is already 2-0, and through 2 games have an incredible RPI in the top 10. And Cal State Bakersfield is going to be up next, and they're a 1-1 squad with a really low RPI. But again, you're only 2 games in, so RPI is going to start to settle. Probably not until around 10 games or so into the season. Or really until you get to conference play. Alright, well, we have recruiting to do before we head into our next week. Again, our short list is getting short once again, and a lot of the guys we're going after are very, very lukewarm on their interest as they are now outside of the region. But the only guys that we have left that are local kids are well down in the rankings. In fact, I'm sitting here looking at Favors, Preston Favors, who was 222 last time I had looked, and then a couple weeks ago it just plummeted. So hopefully this kid pulls it together and gets going. But really, we're looking at just these couple guys at the very, very bottom. And Hetty. Hetty's the highest ranked guy we've got left, and he's already outside of the top 1,000. And look at that, almost straight D's across there. So that's why I keep looking elsewhere to see if we can't grab a better recruit from especially a JC transfer that could provide us with some immediate minutes, albeit that we might only have them for a couple years. All right, well, let's go ahead and set our watch films again on everybody. We'll come back to George as he's already signed. If I have anything left, I might get a look at him again, but I didn't get a look at Favors before, so I'm 1 over. So let's take a look at Favors this week. And our Scout Live, let's go after, Kidd and Lepore are the ones right now that have scholarship offers out there. And let's check in on George. Check in on our recruit. Say hi. Alright, so from here we need to make our calls. I have plenty of guys that I could still host that haven't visited, but I've tried multiple times and none of them want to visit the school. Not always a negative is that I've still had recruits sign with me who never actually came for a visit to the school. All right, so here's Mosley. We've already got all of our info on him, except for on whether we are where we're at in the interest level, and that probably means we're outside of the top 10. Yeah, see, we're not in the mix right now. All right, moving on to Kid. Oh, wait, hold on. Let's close this. I like to see what I'm getting into before I actually put calls out. Okay, so Kid. We've already got the information on him. We're 4th on his list, which is why we went ahead and offered him a scholarship, even though the guy above him is ranked higher. But scoring and defense are both Bs. Overall is a B, so I would love to get this kid. I really hope that those top 3 that are on his list are schools that do not offer him a scholarship, that he flies under their radar, because he would be a great addition for us. All right, here's one of those that we still haven't gotten anywhere on, and he's finally given us a shot. Nice. All right, he hung up on us. Well, he gave us a shot for a second. That wasn't 5 minutes, though, kid. Come on. Yeah, offered 5. We've already got our information on Lepore, but we are not on his radar, and we've offered him a scholarship, so let's go ahead and give him a call and see if we can't. Yeah, we're not in the mix. I never do bribes. I never do. But should we try something? He's got good stats. Scottsdale, JC transfer. I don't know if there's any trouble that goes along this, which kind of worries me. Let's see. Clothing, gear. Okay, well, apparently it worked. At least it had some impact on him. So I don't know. Next week we'll see Lepore if we're in the top 10 schools next week. We're very naughty. No, we gave him clothing. Okay, Blackman. We've got our information here, but we don't know if we're on his list. I don't think we are. Green. We still have some categories we don't know about, so let's go ahead and try to go after those pitches. All right, now we've got everything. Excellent. Hetty, we've had everything for a long time. We're 6th on his list. He's hovered around the top 1,000 at the edge. And I've looked into this kid at times. He used to have Bs on scoring and defense, but he slipped there, and he's got almost straight Ds otherwise. And playing time. So let's go after Walker on playing time. There we go. This is a kid that can rebound, but not much else. We are top of his list, and rebounding is something I need, so I could eventually fall back to him. It looks like he would sign pretty easily. All right, well, we have time left. That's the first time all season that's happened. And we have 2 road games this week. We're going to sim right through those. And we'll see where we're at after 4 games. And then we'll try to quickly squeeze in 2 more after that. So we'll have the first 6 games of the season rounded up by the end of this episode. Though it'll have to be through sim, as we're running pretty short on time here. And at least get a feel for where the team is at. Though most of these first 6 games are on the road. But if we can come out at least at 3-3 after these 6 games, it would definitely show that we have a competitive team this year, and we just won on the road. Next up, Cal State Bakersfield on the road. Let's see if we can't. Like I said, my goal was to get one of these 2 games on the road, and we have already managed that. Can we beat Cal State Bakersfield? And we did. We are 3-1. So, 3 games out of the first 4 have all been on the road.
You have new mail.
And yet we are 3-1 right now. Now our sample size is getting a little bit bigger. 4 games in. Kevin Cole still leading the scoring. Ian Dawson still holding above 5. Michael Morrissey now up to 7 on the rebounding. So this is by far the best stat we've had in that. And look at that. Michael Morrissey leading the way. Blocks and steals. 57th in the nation in scoring. And that's been holding pretty steady. We were 75 last time I checked. Defense is definitely a struggle. Steals are looking decent. We are forcing turnovers, which is helping us at the offensive end. All right, well, let's see. We have a bunch of mail that we haven't checked into in a while. Our list of incidents is a lot shorter than it had been in past seasons, so that's good. There you go. Albany was Conference K, so they were much higher conference than us. That was that first game that we watched. We already passed our time on redshirt, so it looks like I actually had an opportunity and I missed it. I probably should have switched off my guards on that part, but that's okay. Ooh, post-game incident report. After I left the locker room, a couple guys came. Aki Collins was mouthing off about Ian Dawson. That's not good. He's the backup point guard to Ian Dawson. He's just promoting himself, that's all. You got all-conference player versus struggling freshman. So we did get our letter of intents from Charles George and Preston Favors. It's not just verbal anymore. And here's our upcoming opponents. All right, let's see. We're getting the entire association. I want to see just our conference. All right, quick look at recruiting, and then we'll sim through our 2 games. We now have at least mild interest from everybody on our short list, which is awesome. Sadly, though, all these top players, the ones we're going after, it's still very much mild interest. These guys are holding firm with their overall ratings of Bs, so that's good. I'm going to save the money on the film this week, but we will scout a few guys live. Miller, let's see, Mosley, and Blackman. Ooh, wrong button. Scout live, there we go. And then we'll put in our calls, just our calls. And we'll have some time left over again, as there's quite a few guys that... Oh, there we go. Okay. We're finally getting some information on Miller. Start with playing time, as these guys are all from outside the area. Academics. All right, well, got some mild feedback there, so that's good. Good. Got him, we've got him. All right. And that's it. We really only have 1 player left to put our call time into. Mostly it's going to be recruiting when we have the opportunity to go for home visits. All right, so we're going to sim both games this week, and then we'll be calling it an episode. So next up is Northern Arizona. They are 2-2. We are going on the road. Let's see if we can't pull off a win there. We'll also be wrapping the episode while this sim is going on. Whew, did you see that score? 107 to 40 something. Huge blowout. I think that was Connecticut. Okay, we do not get the win at Northern Arizona. We drop to 3-2. Next up is Richmond at home. They are 2-3. as a home game, I'd say we should be the favorite, but Richmond is probably in a quite a bit higher conference than we are. They're a team that regularly makes NCAA tournaments. But we do get the win. We are 4-2. So that's going to wrap up this episode. We've got 4 wins out of 6 games, and
You have new
most
mail.
of those, 4 of those were on the road. So good start to the season. Squad's looking pretty good. Recruiting's coming along, but we're having some struggles. So next time we'll check in with recruiting and see where we're at, as we should be well into the conference schedule when we start up the next episode. So that does it for this episode. I'm Decathlon Gamer. And remember, I'm aiming for the best of the best. So if you're ready to join me on my journey, hit subscribe and tune in next time on my Road to the Record.